4-year-old boy whispers to cop in dinner, he turns pale and quickly calls back up. Officer Jace barely had time to react when the little boy leaned in close and whispered something in his ear. Instantly, his pulse quickened, and a chill ran down his spine. The words the child spoke were barely audible, but they carried a weight so heavy that Jace felt the blood drain from his face. His hand instinctively moved to his radio as he assessed the situation, his training kicking in. There was no time to second guess. He had to act now. Without hesitation, he called for backup, his voice calm but firm. Every second counted, and deep down, Jace knew, this was no ordinary case. Something sinister was unfolding right before his eyes, and the terrified child sitting beside him was at the center of it all. Officer Jace had been looking forward to a peaceful lunch after a long and exhausting day. The sun had been unforgiving, and he had already chased down several criminals. As he finally entered the diner, he was eager to relax and enjoy his break. It was a familiar place, and he was a regular, so most patrons recognized him. He exchanged friendly waves with a few people as he sat down and waited for his meal. However, as he scanned the room, he noticed something unusual. A little boy, no older than 4, sat at a table with a man who appeared to be his father. The boy was clearly bored, his legs dangling off the edge of the chair, while the father was engaged in an angry phone call, his voice rising with each passing moment. Jace couldn't help but notice how uncomfortable the boy looked, his gaze constantly shifting between his father's harsh words and his own small, anxious face. Jace began eating his lunch, trying to tune out the background noise of the diner. But he couldn't ignore the little boy, who kept sneaking glances at him. After a few moments, the boy stood up and began walking toward Jace, his eyes fixed on the officer with an inquisitive, yet cautious, look. Jace smiled warmly, hoping to put the boy at ease, but instead, the child quickly retreated to his father's side, looking visibly frightened. Jace chuckled to himself, wondering what the boy had heard about cops that made him so wary. He returned to his meal, but his thoughts lingered on the child. After finishing his lunch, Jace noticed the boy watching him again, this time with an intense, almost desperate look. A chill crept up Jace's spine. Something was wrong. A few minutes later, the boy got up again, this time approaching Jace with determination. His father remained oblivious, still engrossed in his phone call. Jace, sensing that the child wanted to speak, stayed still, not wanting to scare him away. The boy hesitated, glanced at his father, then leaned in close. Jace caught the faint scent of a hamburger on his breath before the child whispered something. Jace's blood ran cold. Keeping his voice steady, he asked the boy's name. Billy, the child replied. Jace waited for backup, unwilling to risk Billy's safety. Then, Billy's father finally noticed him sitting beside Jace. Eyes widening, he rushed over, demanding his son back. Billy started to rise, but Jace gently held him, insisting he just wanted to make sure the boy ate. The father, Alfred, huffed, flashing his ID, he was a lawyer. But his panicked eyes told another story. Alfred's erratic behavior deepened Jace's suspicion. Then, without warning, Alfred bolted for the exit, straight into arriving officers. He fought back violently, but they subdued him. As he was dragged away, he screamed threats, vowing revenge. Jace turned to Billy, who was still sitting beside him, and gently asked where his mother was. The boy panicked and explained that she was at home, seriously hurt. Jace knew they needed to act quickly. If she was injured, every minute counted. Billy didn't know his address, but he could describe a nearby toy store, which gave Jace enough to figure out the neighborhood. He quickly escorted Billy to his patrol car, and they drove toward the area. The child eagerly pointed out the toy store and gave Jace directions to his house. It wasn't long before they arrived at a small house. Jace rushed inside, finding Billy's mother lying unconscious and bleeding. Jace immediately called for an ambulance, his heart racing as he tried to assess the situation. Time was of the essence, and he couldn't afford to lose another second. As the paramedics arrived and took over, Jace reflected on the events that had led him here. It had been a simple lunch break that had turned into a dramatic rescue, but he knew he had done the right thing. Billy was safe, and his mother would get the help she needed. In the end, Jace felt a sense of relief. It wasn't the peaceful lunch he had expected, but it was a reminder of why he chose to be a police officer in the first place, to protect and serve, no matter the cost.